I lost 41 pounds in 12 months. This is what I look like on day 1, and this is what I look like on day 365. In this video, I'm going to share with you the 9 brutal truths I learned in that 365 days that, if you live by them, you will achieve any body you desire. Brutal truth number 1, you don't need more information. You need more integration. Meaning, you need to start doing the basics that you keep avoiding. As humans, we have this quest for more information, like the basics that work aren't actually good enough. I need to be doing more to get more results in less time, but we actually do less because we get bogged down by the options and the amount of information we're processing instead of just implementing what we already know and have. There's also a saying, you need to be reminded more than you need to be taught. And that's very much true when it comes to health and fitness. It's really not that deep, and we overcomplicate it more than it needs to be. I get questions about meal timing or creatine or what's the best post-workout meal, when really, unless you're like some high-level athlete, none of that shit matters. If you're just a middle-aged woman that's trying to drop some pounds, it doesn't matter. Stop overcomplicating it. Stop avoiding the basics by thinking that it needs to be more and you need to do more. This is part of the reason I hire a coach, because I personally will keep looking for information or keep trying to do more, when if a coach just gives me a play, I can go run the play and remove all of my emotion from it. Example, if you saw my social media over the last year and a half, there was a point in time where there was a good chunk of time where I did a daily, no alcohol, no ice cream, no protein bars, no energy drinks until X amount of pounds or 1 million followers. And surprisingly, or not surprisingly, I didn't get to the X amount of pounds, but did get to the 1 million followers. So it got to a point where I needed to create more change, but instead of actually doing the thing, I kept just avoiding it. And eventually I hired a coach and I committed to my goal to do a bodybuilding show. And that was pretty serious because I can't step on stage having not done the work, knowing me. And so I hired a coach and then just ran the play instead of being like, oh, well, maybe I should do this workout if I want to achieve that physique. Or maybe I need to do intermittent fasting in order to cut my body fat. Or maybe I need to train fasted or do fasted cardio. No, it's not that deep. You just have to do the boring basics and enjoy the boring. To get you into momentum, and I know you're watching this video right now and it's more information for you, surprise, surprise. So instead of more information, just keep finishing watching the video, but a takeaway, I want you to write down 3 things that you know you should be doing, that you're avoiding, and commit to doing one of them tomorrow. And if you feel so inclined and committed, you can write it in the comments and then come back tomorrow and tell me you did it. Write it down and go do it today, or you'll keep starting tomorrow. And what if tomorrow never comes? Because it's not come for a long time already. Brutal truth number 2, I don't have time was actually a thing because I was wasting the time that I did have on shit that didn't matter. I'm a great talker and I can talk myself into pretty much anything. The story I tell myself about it. So if I tell myself I don't have time, I can, as human, as women, we want to be right. We have a need to be in control. And so if I tell myself that I don't have time, I'm going to tell myself all of the stories that actually justify to myself why I don't have time. Instead of looking for solutions like, well, why are you laying on your bed in the morning scrolling social media when you could actually be getting up and go for a 10-minute walk and get 1,000 steps in already? Or why are you sitting and watching TV at the end of the day? Or why are you overanalyzing everything that you should be doing and getting yourself all worked up when if you just went and did the task, it would only take half an hour and you don't have to stress for the 3 hours before and then beat yourself up for the 2 hours after and consume 5.5 hours instead of just 30 minutes that it would have taken to get up and go to the gym. So when you find yourself telling yourself, I don't have time, what I want you to do is an actual time audit. And this will take a little bit of time, so you're gonna have to create time, but you always create time for the things that are important to you, right? And hopefully this weight loss goal, health goal is important to you. And so what I need you to do is a time audit. What you're gonna do, write down all of the hours of the day and what you are spending doing during those hours. And when you go back, post-game analysis, and look at where you're spending all of your time, what out of that list is things that are getting you closer to what you actually want, and what out of that list is moving you farther away or wasting your time that you could be investing into yourself to get you where you want to be. Brutal truth number 3, I was not hungry, I was emotional. Cravings aren't hunger. Hunger is hunger. It's like a feeling in your stomach of hunger. A craving is like, oh, my mouth is lonely and I know that there's cookies in the pantry. Or I'm feeling some kind of way and I don't want to deal with it, and I know that when I put ice cream on my taste buds, it makes me feel better. Most cravings are not hunger. They're loneliness, they're boredom, they're exhaustion, they're decision fatigue, they're stress, disguised as appetite. So when you can't get yourself to do the thing, or you know my goal is to lose body fat and to get healthier, and I also know that eating Oreos in copious amounts or using them as a carrier to get the peanut butter to my mouth is not a good idea to get me to that goal, you need to figure out why you are knuckles deep in the peanut butter at midnight or raiding the pantry like a trash panda. And so to do this, the next time you come up for air when the spoon hits the bottom of the ice cream bucket, post-game analysis, rewind. What was I feeling when I went to the freezer and I pulled out the ice cream and decided not to put it in a bowl and just get a spoon and go straight for it? Was I bored? Was I lonely? Was I resentful? Was I tired? Was I angry? Whatever the emotion was, name it to tame it, as I think Brene Brown, somebody says. You gotta name it to tame it. So what were you feeling? And then what did you actually need that would have helped you in that situation? Self-awareness for me, I don't like conflict. I don't like confrontation. And one of the things, I have twins. If you have children, especially if they're the same age and are around each other all the time, guess what? They're gonna have times where they fight, where there's conflict, where there's hair pulling and biting and scratching. And so I realized that when my children were fighting, I felt some kind of way that I didn't want to feel, or it made me feel uneasy. And what made me feel better was putting food into my mouth, and not like broccoli and chicken. It was the carbohydrate, sugary, fatty, processed garbage, basically treating my body like a dumpster. And so when I understood the why behind it, all of the issues I have around conflict, and I actually dealt with those, now not only am I way better at confrontation and saying the things that I need to say and having hard conversations, I also am aware when I'm feeling some kind of way, and that putting Oreos into my mouth is not going to help the current problem. It's only going to make me get further away from where I want to be. So if you find yourself knuckles deep in the peanut butter, when you come up for air, rewind. What are you actually feeling? And what do you actually need that's going to help in that situation? Not peanut butter. As much as we'd like it to be, peanut butter is not the answer. Brutal truth number 4. You don't need more discipline. You need more bedtime. Go have a nap. I realize for me, nothing good happens past 9 p.m. Sometimes even past 7 p.m. unless I'm going for a walk. For some reason, we fight sleep like we're children, when sleep is probably exactly what you need. You're tired, you've been making decisions all day, your body is looking for energy either in the form of sleep or in the form of sugar. And so for me, I wanted my me time after I got the kids to bed, and I would stay up and watch TV and make poor decisions and fill my body with sugar. When, if I had just gone to sleep, I wouldn't be eating and I would be giving my body the energy that it needs through rest and recovery. There's actually times where I would wake up with an empty bag of mini eggs next to me and not remember eating it because I was so tired, but somehow in my reward center, eating mini eggs while I was half asleep was a good idea. And I used to actually have a lot of shame around that, but now I'm like, where there's one, there's more. I'm sure there's somebody out there that's fallen asleep eating chocolate before. And so if you want to lead, go first. There doesn't need to be shame. Once you become aware of it, you can make a new choice. And like speaking through it removes the shame, because I can guarantee you there's someone else out there that's like, me too, and you're not alone. So tactical takeaway for you, if you are someone who is an evening binger or you're resisting sleep for your me time, which is doing things that are not productive for you, I need you to set an alarm clock to wind down for your bedtime, because a bedtime routine, I think, is more important than a morning routine. And so if you want to go to bed at 9 or 9:30, you need to start winding down for bed and getting ready by like 7:30 or 8, so that you are in a place where you can lay down and close your eyes and go to sleep by the time 9:30 rolls around. So for 1 week, set your alarm for like an hour earlier than you want to go to bed, and then set a second one for when you want to go to bed. When the first one goes off, start winding down. When the second one goes off, you're ready for bed, slide into the sheets and drift off to sleep. Brutal truth number 5, you can't eat in a calorie deficit when you aren't measuring how many calories you're consuming. I feel like I'm not eating that much. You cannot manage what you don't measure, and feelings are not accurate, whereas data is. The data can't lie. And often it's not even that we binge our way into a calorie surplus, or not all the time anyways, like we like to save that for the weekends. But on the weekdays, we graze our way into a calorie surplus with every little bite, lick, and taste, or eating leftovers off of the kids' plates because you don't want it to go to waste, pancakes preferably, or the handful of nuts we took from the coworker, or the chocolate here, or the green juice we had over here that was actually 300 calories, but it was good for us, but it still puts you in a caloric surplus. If you are not measuring and tracking everything that goes into your mouth, there is no way you can be certain that you're in a calorie surplus. And then, like I said earlier in one of these ones, you like to tell yourself a story to make it true. We like to be right, we like to be certain, we like to be in control. And so you will justify all of the things for yourself to make you feel like you're doing the right thing and not making any progress. Whereas if you measured and tracked everything you were eating for a week, you would have a whole new level of awareness of how many calories you're actually consuming. And from there, you can make changes. But if you won't measure it, there's no way that you can make changes, because you don't actually know. If I was just starting tracking my food, this is what I would do. I would keep it super simple, and I would look for 2 protein sources that I like, 2 vegetables, 2 carbs, and those vegetables and carbs might be the same thing, and a fat source. And then I would get a food scale and I would weigh everything in grams, and then I would take my phone and I would open up my FitnessPal and I would put it in there in grams. The reason that I want you to keep it simple and eat food that you made at home is because recipes overcomplicate things. You can't be certain that there was X amount of chicken breast in your chicken Caesar salad if you had a giant bowl of it and some went there and some went here. How do I know how much chicken I got out of that or how much dressing was on it? Whereas if you make your meal individual, you can weigh exactly what goes in there and exactly what you're consuming. So let's say I pick chicken and extra lean ground beef as my protein options, and I pick sweet potatoes and rice as my carbs. I have some green veggies that I throw in there, like spinach, broccoli, I don't know, maybe Brussels sprouts, some kind of roughage. And let's say that I'm going to use avocado, and butter is often a fat source, or the oil that you're spraying or glugging into the pan. We're gonna prep these, and then when we go to eat them, we're gonna weigh them. If you're just starting, that's all. Like, just weigh it before you eat it, log it, and then eat it. And then you can make changes from there as you go on. Once you get better and more efficient at doing this, then you want your meals to be the same portions. So if I'm eating 120 grams of chicken at my meal, I'm eating 120 grams of chicken every time I eat chicken. If I'm eating 100 grams of rice at my meal, I'm eating 100 grams of rice every time I eat rice. If I'm having 70 grams of avocado as my fat source, I'm having 70 grams of avocado every time I eat avocado. And then when I put these meals together, it's gonna give me exactly what I need as far as my calories and my macronutrients for those meals when I keep the portion sizes the same. And I don't know how much we wanna dive into this, but if you go to our website and use our calorie calculator, which the link could possibly be in the description here, it's gonna give you the amount of calories you need in a day to maintain, and it's also gonna give you a calorie deficit. So if you take the overall calories, and you take the macronutrient breakdown that it gives you, if you divide those by how many times you eat in a day, so let's say you eat 3 meals, divide your protein, total grams, your fat, and your carbs, each by 3, and you can divide your calories by 3 too. But those grams should be what you shoot for in a meal. So if you're supposed to have 160 grams of protein in a day, and you're eating 4 times a day for easy math, that's 40 grams of protein per meal. So when you're picking your protein option, you want to weigh that to an amount that's going to give you 40 grams of protein. So if I open up MyFitnessPal, I'm going to do this in real time with you guys. I open up MyFitnessPal and I'm going to type in here, log food, badass babe chicken breast. So as I pull that up, let's say 140. So 140 grams of cooked boneless, skinless chicken breast. Did they put bones in chicken breast? Gives you just over 40 grams of protein. So if you need to eat 40 grams of protein with your meal, you're gonna eat 140 grams of chicken every time you eat chicken. Let's say you're having extra lean ground beef. So about 150 grams of extra lean ground beef is going to give you about 40 grams of protein. But the difference is this gives you about 13 grams of fat. So when you are picking a fat, you would want to have less fat, or just use your beef as your fat option and not add a fat into that meal, depending on what your fat grams are for the day divided by 4. So then once you have your portion sizes, you just need to stay consistent with how much of that you eat at each meal, and it makes it a lot easier for meal prep and planning for yourself if you know what portions you need to eat to hit your macro goal, which is going to hit your calorie goal and keep you in a calorie deficit. So what I was saying was I took you on a little bit of a side quest there, and I actually really went on a side quest because, as you can see, it is now much darker out. And if the rest of this video sucks, it's because I said all of the good stuff already, but my microphone died. So we can't use any of that. It's like when your step counter dies and then those steps don't actually count, except like actual reality of it. Like none of that counted. Your steps do still count if they're not on your step counter, but the audio that didn't record when the microphone dies, that doesn't count. I mean, I guess unless any of you can read lips. Where was I? I was teaching you about tracking calories and how it's not obsessive. And then what I was going to say was, to summarize, if you're just starting with tracking your food, just keep it simple. Weigh everything, track it in MyFitnessPal, and then you have the data to go by. And even if you're just hitting your calorie goal and your protein goal, that's a great place to start. The 6th brutal truth: real progress is real invisible until it's real obvious. Humans often do this thing where we overestimate what we can accomplish in a short time span, like a day or a week, and then we underestimate what we can accomplish over a longer time span, like a year. So we think we can do things like lose 10 pounds in a week, and then we beat ourselves up when we only lose a pound, and then we throw in the towel because it's not working, not realizing that if you kept losing a pound to 2 pounds every week of the year, you'd lose 52 to 104, I think that's the math, pounds in a year. And while a pound in a week seems invisible, 50 to 100 pounds in a year is definitely obvious. This is also why taking progress pictures is so huge, because in the week to week, you might not see much change in yourself. And especially if you see yourself every day, you look in the mirror, it doesn't seem like anything's changing. But if you look at your picture from week 1 and then you get to like week 16 and look at your picture, there's huge changes that you can see if you've been consistently doing the work. But if you get upset on day 7 when you can't see changes, and you throw in the towel, you're never going to see the actual obvious changes over time. Often we'll quit 3 feet from gold because we don't have an immediate benefit in the same way that we don't have an immediate consequence. So if you eat healthy for a day, it doesn't just show up immediately in the same way as if you ate unhealthy for a day. It doesn't show up immediately. But if you don't listen to the whispers, they become bitch slaps. So if over time you continue to eat unhealthy, thinking there's no consequence, it seems all of a sudden like it happens overnight, you have a heart attack or some kind of a health scare, and it seems like it was overnight and it's this obvious thing. But it didn't happen in that moment. It happened every time you chose to put something in your mouth that wasn't healthy for your body. In the same way, it works in the opposite of every time you're making a healthy, nutrient-dense choice, your body is getting healthier on a cellular level, but it doesn't just happen overnight, like all of a sudden you're healthy. It compounds over time and you get healthier from the inside out. And you can't really see that, but if you would go get a DEXA scan done, you could, before and after, you could see the amount of visceral fat that you're losing, which is like literal fat that's packed around your organs that you're losing and getting healthier because of. So when you think that you're not making progress and you're considering throwing in the towel or starting tomorrow, because it doesn't matter if you start right now, it does matter if you start right now. And if you can look at a weekly average for your weight and watch the trend instead of being hyper-focused in the day-to-day. If you can look at your steps over the course of a week, like 70,000 in a week instead of 10,000 in a day, and get your head out of the weeds, 30,000 foot view, it's gonna give you a lot better perspective. It's gonna remove the emotion and it's gonna allow you to stay consistent with what you're doing in the day-to-day so that the invisible progress becomes obvious. Brutal truth number 7, I kept binging because I kept starving myself. This one hits home for me so much, and it's the thing that drives me crazy about what women do, because I used to do it myself. And in an effort to try to eat less calories and become smaller of a human, you just make yourself eat more calories eventually. And sometimes it's not the binging that gets us, it's the grazing day to day. It's the grazing throughout the day, not the binge episode that I save for the weekends. The day-to-day grazing, we eliminate our 500 calorie deficit in a handful of trail mix and a Frappalappa Ding Dong Chino that has 400 calories in it. And then we don't feel like we're eating much, but you're not eating in a calorie deficit. And by attempting to shorten our eating window or lessen the amount of calories that we're eating by, skipping breakfast and things like that, we end up just going hog wild in the evening. Or you can keep it together for like 3 days, white knuckling your way through your iceberg lettuce for lunch and your paper for dinner, but on day 4, you can't hang on anymore and you lose your grip. And you inhale the pantry in one fell swoop, and your calorie deficit that you spent 3-4 days creating, you just ate in 10 minutes. So instead of the restrict and binge roller coaster that you've been on, how about we approach a calorie deficit in a sensible, non-psychopathic way that's realistic long-term. Something that you can commit to long-term and commit to losing 1 pound to 2 a week instead of trying to lose 10 pounds before Jessica's wedding on Saturday. You should have started that a year ago. Oh, but you'll start tomorrow. Okay, me too. Focus on what is sustainable long-term and something that is enjoyable and maintainable for you, realistic. Let's not be psychopaths about this. A 500 calorie deficit a day is a great place to be. You can sustain that over time, and if you get to a place where that is actually maintenance for you at some point, there's levers that you can pull still to create a deficit instead of trying to eat 1,000 calories a day and ruining your life. Brutal truth number 8. I stayed overweight because I lived like 2 different people. I was like a Jekyll and Hyde. Monday to Thursday or maybe Friday lunchtime, I was Miss Health and Fitness. I only eat organic, clean calories. I live in oblivion of my life and all of the emotional things in my life. And then the weekend would roll around and I had enough, and out comes whichever one is the bad one of Jekyll and Hyde, the monster one. And the calorie deficit that I created through the week was gone by the time Sunday rolled around, that's for sure. It was a full send of fuckery being a trash panda in the pantry from Friday afternoon until Sunday afternoon-ish. And then I'd start tomorrow, finish off the full send, and eat my way into a calorie surplus again. And then I'll start tomorrow or start on Monday. Living like that is not only horrible in the moment, but like for your self-trust, because the you in the other room on Monday to Friday is still like, I know what you did. And you sit there and you beat yourself up about it. And so you can only take so much self-abuse, and then it happens again on the weekend because of the guilt and the shame and all of the things. And it becomes a pattern. I lived it. I know all about it. Me too. And so the way you do one thing is the way you do everything. And if you can get yourself to be congruent from Monday to Sunday or Sunday to Saturday, whatever way you want to look at it, live a life that is sustainable all of the days of the week in a mind that you enjoy and don't beat yourself up about, and set the rules for yourself to set yourself up for success. Think about it. You get to make the rules for your life. There's some general overarching rules like don't hurt other humans that we're supposed to abide by. But for the most part, most of the rules that you have in your life and the things that you think people judge you for, or the ways you behave because of what you think other people think that you think, those are all self-imposed. And the keys for your prison cell are in your own pocket. You don't have to live like Jekyll and Hyde, like personality-wise and appetite-wise. Consistency, homeostasis, these are all things that your body loves. I noticed myself doing this a little bit even lately. The other day when I was flying home from Mexico, there's a restaurant, Johnny Rockets, in the Puerto Vallarta airport, and I love their Oreo milkshakes. And if you haven't had one and you're there, you should go have one because it's just a delight. Anyway, I have my milkshake and I'm going to get on the airplane, and lo and behold, there's somebody. She's like, "Oh, are you the one that does like the women's health and fitness, the badass babe squad?" As I've got my giant Oreo milkshake. Yes, that's me. And I felt a little bit of shame about it, thinking like, what kind of an example am I setting? But then I also started thinking, this is exactly what I coach, is like, you can have an 80-20. You can still enjoy things and foods that you love as a treat. Just don't do that all the time. If it's a once in a while thing, awesome. And having any shame for it is just gonna make you feel shitty about it. And then you hide, and then you end up doing things like hiding candy underneath your car seat that you only eat when you're in the car and nobody's looking, or you dish up the ice cream and you take it to the bedroom and you eat. Like, these are all things that I used to do that kept me fat and 270 pounds. And so I've worked through them. And then just when I think that I've fully worked through them, I realize that maybe I haven't worked through them, and I work through them a little bit more. All about integration and congruency. Who I am is who I am, whether it's a Monday at home or whether it's a Friday in Mexico. The way I behave is the way I behave across the board. And it's not always clean, organic, Christine. Sometimes I make my food at home and I eat my meal prep, and every once in a while I love an Oreo shake from Johnny Rockets. And I don't need to have shame about that, and neither do you. Brutal truth number 9. You can't heal in the same environment that broke you. You're a product of your environment and your current level of awareness and all of these things. Your friend circle, there's a bunch of things that go into it that make up who you are. Internal influences, what you think of yourself, external influences that you are around. You're gonna have certain friends where that friend circle you do certain things with. Like, this is the friend circle that we go out to eat and drink together. But I also have this friend circle that I go to the gym, where we go on hikes when we're together. Or I have this friend circle that does this thing, bakes sourdough. You have all of these circles and outside influences. Or even things like places. For me, when I go to my mom's house, I know exactly where the candy is. I know where she keeps the cookies. I know where the after eights are, even though they're from last Christmas, they're still delicious. I don't judge. It's best before, not rotten after, right? And I have these old patterns and habits ingrained in me that now I'm aware of, but when I wasn't as self-aware, I didn't know. And I'd say one thing and I'd do another. Refer back to being two different people. But once you become aware of it, then you can make a choice. So I recognize the pattern that I always overeat when I go to my mom's. And I worked through some things that are within me and why I behave the way that I do when I'm there. Same thing, I've talked about my kids fighting multiple times. When my kids would fight, I would want to eat because I don't like confrontation or conflict. And so I worked through that. And now I'm a person that can have hard conversations and just be vulnerable and speak the truth instead of avoidance or living a lie. You probably have certain friends that would encourage you to skip the gym, and you probably have certain friends that would encourage you to go to the gym. You probably have certain friends that would guilt you, or you feel like they're judging you for being a bad parent because you're prioritizing time for yourself, and you probably have friends that would encourage you to go prioritize yourself. And so you, as a full-grown adult, need to set yourself up in a way to be successful and make choices that are smart for you and for who you are becoming. And so future self, who do you want to become? Make decisions in your current day that move you closer to your future self. Because if you're making decisions about the people you hang out with or where you spend your time or the environments that you're in from your current self and what you like right now, what makes you feel good, guess what you're going to get more of? What you have right now. But if you make decisions from future self and what that person would do, what that person would decide in this situation, it's gonna move you closer to what you actually want instead of keeping you stuck right where you are because you're afraid to make the decision or you're avoiding or whatever your reason is. That's between you and sweet baby Jesus or whoever. That's for you to figure out through self-reflection, journaling, self-awareness, doing the work. So for this one, I would encourage you to audit your environment. What's helping you right now and what's keeping you stuck? What's pushing you out of your comfort zone and moving you closer to where you want to be, and what's pulling you back in? Who are the friends that you should be spending more time with, and who are the ones you should be spending maybe a little bit less time with, or spending less time with in certain situations? Like if they're all going out to the bar and that's something that you don't want to do anymore, have the agency to say no, or no, not this time. And maybe you don't go every time they ask, but you go every second time or something like that to move yourself closer to where you actually want to be. So once you've taken a 30,000 foot view of your environment and got your head out of the weeds a little bit, you're gonna remove or have less of in your life the things that are making it harder for you to hit your goals. And this is naturally gonna leave space for things that make it easier for you to hit your goals. These are the 9 brittle truths that I learned from achieving my weight loss goals. Watch this video next about the only 19 exercises you need to do in the gym to lose weight. Look at this, it's almost nighttime. What a beautiful sunset out there. Should have started filming now instead of 3 hours ago and then the microphone not working. I hope the microphone's working. Hello? Is this thing on? I hope so. Go watch the video. Why are you still here?